You wonder why contractors are so hard to deal with? Well, it's not them, it's you. If you don't follow these 18 rules for managing them, you're going to bleed money, waste time, and you'll probably walk off of a job site wondering what the hell just happened. This is part of my lazy project management approach. See, I'm a one-man real estate investing enterprise, and I don't have time to babysit. I need results with as little friction as possible. Small inputs, big outputs. Now, I've broken these rules down into 4 different categories: bidding, etiquette, management, and strategy. So here we go. Bidding. Rule number 1. A confused bid gets a confused price. What's the first thing that you want to see when you're taking on a new job? You want to see a job description. You want to know exactly what they're going to have you do. It's not like maybe you're going to possibly do these things, or actually, we might have you do this. And in the future, we're thinking about these different things that the company is going to do. We're not quite sure what you're going to do. And you're thinking, okay, well, sounds good. If you pay me a whole bunch of money, sure, I'll take your indecision. Well, that's what it sounds like a lot of times to contractors. They walk in to give a bid, and the investor or the customer, they're saying things like, well, we're going to paint the walls. I think that we're going to do a couple different colors. We'll do like a dark accent wall over here, and then we'll do an off-white on the body walls. And then, well, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll do like a lighter accent wall. And then the trim, we're definitely going to do white. Well, actually, we saw some pictures of like black trim, and it's really cool. What do you think about black trim? Do you think that's cool, or do you like white better? And that contractor is thinking, ugh, that's just a sign of things to come. This whole project is going to be a cluster F. And so what do I need to do? I need to make sure that I bid it really high, or maybe not give this guy a bid at all. I'd rather just go do a job for somebody who knows what the heck they want. So simplify. Know what you want. Be clear about what you want. I want an off-white wall. Agreeable gray is the color that we use on our projects. And I just want a white semi-gloss on the doors and the trim. Cool? All right. Floors, we're doing an LVP. I use the same LVP every time. Just do your normal thing. Let's use some basic quarter round. No problems, right? I'm always making it no problem. It's simple. It's easy. It's not confusing. All right. Number 2, dirty jobs get dirty bids. Here's the thing. A lot of you expect contractors to have vision, which most people don't have at all. And it's not on them. It's just human nature. I got a bid back for $12,000 to do a tenant turnover just recently. This happened like 2 weeks ago. Got this humongous bid. And I walked into that house because I was like, the house should not be a $12,000 bid. I just turned this thing over a couple years ago. There's no way they wrecked it that bad. I walk into the house. The storm door was pulled off the hinges. There were literally bullet holes all over the place. Like there was some kind of shootout that happened, like an indoor-outdoor situation. Like there must have been somebody outside shooting in and somebody on the inside shooting out. But not only that, when you walked into the house, it friggin' reeked. It smelled like not your normal tenant turnover. It smelled really bad. And then I walked into the laundry room, and there was pet doo-doo everywhere. There was urine. You could smell the urine. You could see the actual stuff all over the ground. And so, of course, if a contractor walked in here, they'd be like, this is disgusting. This is going to get a disgusting bid to go with it because I'm going to have to deal with all that crap. So what did I do? I hired a cleaner to come in. And of course, I paid a lot of money for the cleaner because it was a disgusting job. I put an ozone machine in there for a few days to get the main smell out. Even sprayed some stuff to make it smell a little bit better. And then I brought a new contractor over, and I kind of made some jokes about the shootout that happened there to lighten the mood a little bit, to not make it seem so scary. And I got a bid back for $2,600. You see what a difference that makes? Because a dirty job gets a dirty bid. Rule number 3, didn't mean to do this, but 3 bids are for bureaucrats. That's right. That's going to be controversial. Everybody thinks you need to get 3 bids for every job. You need to bring 3 contractors in there and compare the prices between each one of them. Well, that's because you don't know what the heck you're doing. Here's what 3 bids actually does, is it wastes the time of 2 of the 3 contractors. You basically burn the bridge with 2 of the 3 contractors. And I know some of you out there who are real pros will say, well, I give bids all the time. That's part of the job. And, I don't win every one of them. I have to work harder as a contractor. Well, sure, but I'm not really in the business of wasting people's time. I want to build relationship capital with these guys. So I, as an investor, want to know what I want on a project, and I need to know about what it's going to cost. And then I bring somebody in there and I work with them to get them within my budget. I do the work on the front end. And yes, this is the lazy project manager approach. However, there is some front end work and some work that you're going to have to do to earn the right to be a lazy project manager. So I don't get 3 bids on every one. Now, if you are a novice, if you are a beginner and really don't know how to price things out, maybe you do need to get 3 bids on certain projects that are really complex. However, what I would suggest for you is potentially finding what I would call a consultative contractor, somebody who you tell them up front, hey, I'm going to pay you $500 to give me a bid. I know it's a lot of work, man, and nobody really likes to give bids. Administrative crap. I don't need this to be perfect or anything. And I'm just telling you right now, I'm not going to give you the job. That's why I'm paying you $500. I want you to go in there and give me the most honest opinion you've ever given anybody. And then you pay them the money, and now you have a budget to work off of. Now, that's not necessarily a method that I've used for a general contracting kind of bid, the whole project, because I kind of came up in the ranks and learned all the things to look for. But I do use that method for mechanical, electrical, plumbing at times, especially earlier in my career. Number 4 is get a Costco bid. What does Costco do? They package things up. They bring them in bulk so they can get a lower price on the things. Kind of everybody knows Costco is that they really actually have really high pricing. I shop at Walmart instead because it's cheaper ultimately, but this is not a shopping video, so let's not go there. The point of the Costco thing is you package it up, you bulk it up, and you get better pricing because of it. And I use that same concept when I'm getting bids from contractors. I don't want them to have just one job where they just do the LVP floors or just do the paint. I want to give them a bulk of jobs, what I call a sub chunk, where I'm giving them, hey, you're going to come in and you're going to do the drywall repairs. I'm going to have you do the paint. I'm going to have you do the LVP. I'll have you do the trim and the cabinets and the bathrooms as well. Because the more stuff that I can give them, 1, the better price that I'm going to get. And 2, it's the less, is that the right word? A lesser amount of checkpoints, of decision points that I have as a lazy project manager. So I give them this bulk of jobs and we set checkpoints. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I don't have to be on the job site managing. We set a scope of work. These are all the things that you're going to do. Call me when you're done. Now I'm sipping Mai Tais. I'm joking. I don't actually know what a Mai Tai is, but I have time to go focus on other things that my business needs, like finding more deals or recruiting other contractors. Okay. That's it with the bidding. Let's move into the etiquette portion. And this is a really important thing. I actually am working with somebody who's just getting started out in real estate investing. And he's calling me every day, asking me questions about this. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand what these words that you're saying to the contractor actually means to them. The reason that they don't like working with you is because of what you're doing. So here's rule number 1 of etiquette. Rule number 5 total is be a politician. Be the mayor, not the foreman. Okay, the contractor that you hire is likely not going to be the one there every single day. They'll be there sometimes, but they're going to have a crew. Okay, their crew is going to go there and you are going to see and probably meet their crew. But here's the big mistake that a lot of people made, and I made the same mistake as well early on, is I would talk to these guys as if they were the same as the contractor that I hired. Like whatever I say to him, he'll say to that guy. No, not at all. Here's what it sounds like to the contractor that you hired. You're trying to jack their employees. You're trying to scheme behind their back and steal their best people, because that is what a lot of people do. And by the way, early in my career, I thought, oh man, I have to have all these people who work for me. They're on my payroll. They're my crew. No, not at all, dude. Because if they're your crew and they make a mistake, you have to go pay for the mistake. I would much rather sub to a contractor they have a crew and they deal with the endless headaches of having a crew. And so I don't talk to these guys, but I am respectful. You shake hands and kiss babies, maybe have a conversation, but not about the job, just about, hey man, how was your weekend? Great. Well, hey, you guys are doing a phenomenal job here. I'm going to go talk to your boss about any of these other things, because you don't talk with that guy about actual job things. Rule number 6, pulling a job is burning a bridge. What do I mean by pulling a job? That means that I have dangled a carrot in front of them. Hey, will you give me a bid for this job and this job and this job and this job? And then I pull one of those back from them. Well, just in their mind, I know it's crazy and it's not logical. It doesn't make sense in maybe the white collar world where you came from, where, a lot of what you do is write bids or get potential jobs that you have to go win. Well, it's not like that in the contractor's world, because every job is food on their plate. And you got to respect that. You got to respect that. That's how you start building relationship capital. And so if I'm going to have a conversation about another job, it's because I am most likely going to be giving that person the job, unless there's a dang good reason that I don't. And if I have already awarded them that job, I'm going to let them complete it unless something really bad happens. And that's, the contractor's black hole, which I talk about that in a lot of different videos. We're not going to get into that here, what you do when you actually have a contractor who's ghosting you. But for the most part, don't dangle a carrot unless you're going to let them eat it. Number 7, loose lips ruin ships. Don't have loose lips. That's what I mean by this one. And what do I mean by loose lips? I mean that when people get out there on jobs, they're talking to their contractor as they're in the middle of a job. And, you're just thinking out loud because, well, maybe you've watched a lot of HGTV and you're thinking about all these cool design ideas like, oh gosh, I'd really love to do a herringbone in the bathroom. And I saw this video with this subway tiles. Oh, you know what? Have you ever done epoxy on the countertop? Gosh, I saw it. It was really cool. And, well, that's great. You're trying to build relationship capital. So in your mind, you're just talking to this contractor, being buddy-buddy with him, talking about the different ideas you have about the growth of your business. But here's what the contractor hears is this dude trying to get free work from me? We were just going to put Formica countertops in or butcher block, and now he's talking about epoxy. Does he think that's the same price? Relationship capital going down, and you don't even know it's happening. That's the problem. Most relationship capital, which is what you need to grow a strong business with these contractors, is lost unknowingly. You're having little conversations that you think are innocent, but what they're thinking is that you're trying to steal food off their plate and the guys that they employ's plate. Okay, that's the etiquette. Now let's get into the management, because I know the etiquette sounds like this whole time you need to be breaking your back for these guys, which that is part of it, but there is also a position of strength, and that's what we're going to talk about in the management. So rule number 8 is be ironclad, but don't write a contract. Yeah, that's right. I know. All the gurus tell you have to have the perfectly written contract with these guys. But here's the reality. What's going to happen if they walk off of a job? Are you going to sue them? Do you think they have the money to pay if you win in the lawsuit? What are you going to do with the job while you're waiting for this lawsuit to be won? I'm sorry to tell you, and I know that people are going to get all hung up on this and upset. But the reality is, this is a look you in the eyes and handshake type of business. So you better make sure that your handshake means something. So what do I mean by be ironclad? However, don't have a contract. Well, you do need to set amazingly, extremely clear expectations. Before anybody grabs a hammer and starts working, you need 3 things. A scope of work that is clear and agreed upon, a price that is clear and agreed upon, and a pay schedule that is clear and agreed upon. If you don't have those things, don't let work start. And I'm telling you, on all these things, you're probably thinking, gosh, there's so many rules that I got to remember. And, how am I going to get all these right every time? Well, I'll tell you, I've been doing this for over 14 years now, depending on when you watch this video, since 2011. And still to this day, I make mistakes all the time. I don't follow all my rules. Nobody follows all the rules. But, what are you going to make a video about if you don't have rules? These are the rules that I really try to follow, but sometimes I break them. Sometimes I break them strategically. But for the most part, you want to try to follow these rules. So am I sometimes rushing things and I'm like, all right, go ahead and get started there. I've worked with you 10 times in the past. I know that your prices are going to be good and I really need some work going over here. So get started. Get me a bid though right away. Yes, I certainly have done that before. And funny thing is, it almost always bites me. But, what are you going to do? But I'll tell you, the thing that I never do is write a contract with these guys. Never. I don't think I've ever done it. Except for one time I was doing this big hotel job, which I'll never do that again. Rule number 9, be the bank. One of the contractors that I work with just came to my office to get $50,000 worth of checks from like 4 different projects. And I was like, dude, why do you wait so long to ask for this? And he's like, well, I'm trying to save up for something. And so I was using you as a savings account. And at first I'm like, well, thanks, man. That makes my bookkeeping an absolute nightmare. But then I got to thinking, well, that's because he trusts me absolutely with his money. He knows that when he comes to me, there's money for him because he did a job. And I always hold up my end of the deal. And that's who you want to be. You want to have so much trust from your contractors that they never have to worry about money, because everywhere else, they do have to worry about getting their payment. So if you can be the guy that for sure is going to pay them, they're going to keep coming to do business with you. You can lack in a lot of other ways as long as you take care of putting food on their plate. So never fail on this one. Never fail on this one. Always be the bank. You a doomsday prepper? Have you ever heard of a run on the bank when the bank's not actually going to have your money? Freaks you out, right? That's straight up doomsday crap. That's what they deal with every day. But does that mean that you're paying in advance? No. When they smell weakness on you, they will constantly ask you for payment in advance. Like, hey, I'm definitely going to have this done by Friday. Can you just pay me now because I have X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C, and 1, 2, and 3 issues coming up, and I just really need it just this one time. If you give in, there will be a next time, and a next time, and that will become the every time. And here's the other thing, is it's not malicious. It's not because they want to get the money and then go run and ghost you. It's because it's like really hard to run a construction company. These guys are like barely piecing it together. So they're constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're getting another project started. They get a payment from that project and they try to use it to come back to finish the one before, because it's just really hard to manage the money. And there's a lot of money moving around. There's lots of materials. There's crew to pay. There are lots of plates to fill. And I don't want to trust their management of those things. I want to trust my management. So here's the deal. Rule number 10, the law of power. The power is in the payment. If you give up the power, you will not get your job done like you want to get it done. In fact, you're probably not going to get it done the way that you want to get it done anyway, because it's just tough out there. But if you give up the power, you're certainly not going to. Now, once again, go back to rule number 9, be the bank. Always pay when it's time to pay, and do it quickly. Be better than anybody else at paying, but never give up the power. Never pay before it's time to pay. Rule number 11, the butterfly effect. This one's mostly about Ashton Kutcher and that dude that lost a bunch of weight and got jacked. Throwback. See how old you are on that one. Anyhow, this is about communication. It is friggin' amazing how what you say is not what somebody else hears. And then they hear that, they hear the wrong thing, and then they go try to communicate with somebody else who amazingly doesn't hear what they thought they said. And it goes on and on and on until you go to a job site for the LVP floors that you wanted installed, and all of a sudden you have linoleum. And you're like, how did we get here? I literally told you we're putting in LVP. I showed you online the LVP that I wanted you to get onto the job site and install. How did we end up with glue down linoleum? Well, it's because communication is friggin' hard. It is very hard. And I mean, after all these years of managing projects, I still haven't figured it out. I don't know if I can ever figure it out. But there are some things that I can do to at least have it a little bit more in my favor. And this is going to sound like a way to, there's a bug that got in my office. This is going to sound like a way to like maliciously get at contractors, like, hey, you said this, I got it right here, but that's not what it's about. 3 ways. Okay. Verbal, written, and media, which is usually a video or photos if you're not in this year somehow and don't know how to make a video with your phone. Anyway, some sort of media that they can see. So here's what I do. Every time I write a scope of work or do a change order or do anything that is an expectation that is going to have payment attached to it, I talk to the contractor about it. And by the way, I do this with all vendors, not just contractors, but especially with contractors. I talk to them about it. We discuss things. We iron out the details to make sure we're aligned. However, I know the butterfly effect exists, so I'm not going to rely solely on number 1, the verbal. So we're also going to do a written. Okay, here's what you said. We're doing LVP floors. We're stopping in this room. I do not want transitions between the rooms because I think that looks ugly as can be. The LVP running through the rooms, through the doorways, makes everything seem adhesive. It makes it seem uniform, like it's one big house instead of a bunch of different rooms. So I do not want to see a transition strip in any of these doorways. You got it? Cool. Writing that down. No transition strips. Paint on my door hinges. I will make you buy me new door hinges. It's like one of my biggest bugaboos. All right. All these things. These are expectations. I've said it to them just like that. I've written it down. We've agreed upon it. We made sure the thing in writing was there. And then I grab out my iPhone or Android, if you like green bubbles, and I walk the house with them. And I say, hey, here are the things. This is when I made the joke about the hinges. This was the thing about the LVP and the transitions because I'm a weirdo. But anyway, you got it, right? I'm going to send you this video and, send me your bid with this video so that way we know it aligns. And that way, I always forget things, man. I'm like super dumb. And so I want to be able to look back on this so that way when I come at you, a few weeks from now and I'm like, hey man, we need transition strips here. And you're like, do you remember when you made a big fuss about not having transition strips? There you go. This is for you, not me. You're welcome. That's the butterfly effect. Focus, guys. Focus on being a phenomenal communicator. It is so hard. It is the thing that makes all business, but especially contracting, very difficult because for the most part, I think that there's like contractorese. It's like a whole different language and there's a translation that is failing to happen. And it just kind of takes years to learn that. But these written, verbal, media, it's going to help you out quite a bit. Number 12, control material, but don't be the delivery boy. Funny enough, I made a video a couple years ago now that was how you should never buy materials because it steals your bandwidth. And it does. However, I have since realized that I was wrong. And this is no surprise. I'm wrong often, but it's all right. I'm learning. We're all learning. But I think that you should absolutely control the materials, and it is a big bandwidth suck. It does take a lot of energy to do that. But what I have found is it is like the ultimate project manager, the lazy way. I can do it right from my phone, right here in my home office that I just built. Pretty cool. I know. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? All right, don't be the delivery boy. This does not mean go to Home Depot or Lowe's and go get all the material you want and deliver it to the job site so that way they have everything you need or they need. But I mean, for one, it's going to that would be your job. That would be terrible. 2 is you will 100% of the time fail to get everything you need. There's always a little stuff that comes up. And so you don't want to put yourself in that situation. You then become the bottleneck, which we're also going to talk about here in a second. No, instead you do phone sales. So Home Depot, I always use Home Depot, not Lowe's, just it's more convenient for me. But I'm pretty sure Lowe's and all the places have this, a phone sale system. So here's the way it works for me is I am a proud pro member at the Home Depot Pro Desk, whatever that means. A contractor wins a bid with me. They're going to do this job. We discuss the materials that I want and such, but there are little things that come up like supplies and such. They go up to Home Depot and they get what they need for the job. And the Home Depot Pro Desk calls me, or better yet, they have this little feature called text to confirm, and they just send me a text saying, hey, this dude wants to buy $800 worth of material. Here's the link. I click the link, and it shows me everything that they're trying to check out with. So first, when there's a Powerade on there, I'm like, well, that's not really part of the scope, man. Put that on your own credit card. But bigger yet, is I find issues all the time. This is the situation where somebody would be doing flooring, where we agreed upon LVP running through the rooms with no transition strips, and I would see 4 transition strips on the phone sale, and I'd be like, hey, buddy, why are you doing that? Or better yet is going back to the butterfly effect. I see linoleum with glue. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't remember my house getting any linoleum. And of course, if you have some really shady people that you've hired, yeah, you'll find crap more than Powerade. You'll find tools on there, and you'll find material that's meant for other jobs. Now, I know that the world wants you to think that all these guys are malicious, violent criminals, but they're really not. They're really trying to make it, and it's your place to try to make it easier and give these guys or girls who make things happen on your job sites good places to work. That's what you want to give them. That's how you build. But anyway, most of them aren't what the world makes you think they are. But this is a good check just in case, because there are those out there as well. I've been through those. So control the material. Don't be the delivery boy. Let them do that work. It helps them anyway. That way, when they run out of material, they can go get it. It's great. Win-win for everybody. Now we're on number 15, 13, 14. We're on number 14. Be an inspector and always inspect before you pay. Pretty simple. But, going with the lazy project management approach, it really is easy to get lazy sometimes. And somebody says, hey, I'm done with the work that we talked about. Here are a couple pictures. Could you go ahead and pay me? And you're like, oh, man, I was doing cool stuff, and I don't really want to have to go all the way out there. Those pictures look pretty good. It's probably fine, right? No, it's not. It never is. It never is. It just never is. There's always a punch list. There's like a half-life of punch lists. And what I mean by that is it's like you give a punch list. Let's say the punch list has 20 items on it. Like, hey, I found some paint marks here. I, could see some gaps under the doors that I don't really like. I'm not being too particular here, but like there's paint on the hinges. There's a transition strip right here, whatever. I have a list of 20 items. And then, okay, yeah, I'll do that, because remember, you have the law of power. So you haven't paid yet. You haven't paid yet. So they're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do those items so I can get paid. And then you get a text message or a call, and they're like, okay, I did your punch list. And then you go there, and there's still 8 of the 20 items that are like almost done, but not done. And then you're like, hey, man, gosh, was I unclear about this? I found like 8 of the 20 items that I thought that we had talked about. Communication's hard, man. So maybe I didn't say it right, but I really need these things done before I pay for it. Obviously, this is part of the original scope. I'm sorry you got to do this, man. I feel terrible, but really going to need it done. And then you get the call, hey, I did those 8 items. And then you go there and there's like, 3 3/4 of them are still undone. And well, that's just the way it goes, man. When I was a kid, my dad would come down to my room and he'd be like, "Hey, you got to clean your room because you're a pig." And I would clean my room, but basically what I would do is I would kind of like move everything off of the walls and kind of move it to the middle of the room and maybe clean up some of the stuff, but it looked like a lot cleaner. And then he'd come down and he'd be like, "Hey, this isn't clean. You just kind of moved everything to the middle." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Okay." So then I go and I put like some more of the stuff in the closet. In fact, I'd put like all the stuff in the closet. Then he'd come back down because I said it was clean. And then he'd look in the closet and be like, "This isn't clean." And anyway, this would go on and on and on. And finally he would say, "Whatever, that's clean enough." And I always knew that it wasn't actually clean. What happened is he got tired of coming down and telling me it wasn't clean. Never get tired, guys. Just never get tired. It's the job. It sucks, but it is the job. It's kind of a headache, but just you have to tell yourself, this is my job. This is why people like me exist in the world, is because I have to defeat the half-life of punch lists. And that's okay. That's why you get paid the big bucks. And you will. Especially if you watch all my videos, you will learn how to real estate, invest, and make big profits and really grow wealth. And you can do it all as a one-person enterprise. And I used to do like the big thing where I scaled up and had all kinds of employees and stuff, and it was really cool to talk to everybody about. But the thing is, I had to be like at a job every day. I had to be in my office. People expected me there, then, at whatever time. Now I don't. I just, when I want to. I can, because of the lazy project management approach, for instance, I can kind of show up when I want to show up, and I can show up for my family when I need to show up. That's what I want for you. All right. Next is number 15. And this is moving into the fourth category, which is strategy. All right. So number 15 is linchpins are not lazy. A linchpin is basically like a key man. You're a bottleneck. And if you make yourself a bottleneck, because it feels good to be a bottleneck, it feels good to be relied upon, to be needed. And especially when you are new to managing, it's like, you know, kind of powerful, feels cool. But don't be that. Don't be a bottleneck. You don't need every decision to go through you. You need to mitigate decision points and do it through inspections. All right, so this is like the key to my strategy. And really, I guess the whole strategy section is really the lazy project management stuff. All right, as we talked about with the Costco approach, you want to group things together. Well, there's another reason that you want to group things together. It's because the more jobs that they have to do on a project, I call these guys all-arounders, the guys that like, they'll take out the trash, they'll do the floors, they'll do the paint, they can do cabinets and countertops. It's like, shampoo and conditioner. Like when you have the 2-in-1, like neither one does great, but like it does all right. It conditions and shampoos your hair all right. It will do the job. It's that kind of concept. I want the all-arounders. Those are like the meat and potatoes of my organization. I want to find as many of those guys, the like quasi handymen that can kind of do everything. And well, anyway, I group as many jobs into that sub chunk as possible, because then they can bid it. They're going to give me a better price because there's so many of them. It's the bulk discount. And so they can breathe easy. They can go to sleep because they know they have a big runway of jobs to do, and I can go do whatever I want to do, like maybe business growth practices, or maybe personal growth things or family growth things. But if you have a what I call specific job contractor for every single thing, okay, I'm going to get like a flooring guy to go do floors, and then I'm going to get the quarter round people to come in and do quarter round. I'm going to get painters to come paint, but before I do that, I have to have drywallers come in and do. Well, sure. I mean, you'll probably have a little bit of a nicer house, but it's going to take a lot of work from you. And it's like a little bit of a nicer house, like not really going to affect things all that much. And I talk a lot about that in other videos, that like it's the HGTV dilemma. Like you think things have to be perfect, but they really don't. It's like, I see these guys when I'm driving to work, and I drive really slow. I'm kind of notorious for it because I'm not in a hurry because I'm a lazy project manager. I have nowhere to be. But anyway, so I'll get passed, like, and like get the finger because I'm going so slow. I'm going like the speed limit, and people want to go fast. They want to get there fast. And so people will go darting around me, and then I'll pull up to the next stop sign and they're there because like the going 120% all the time doesn't get you that much further. 80-20 rule, guys. 80-20 rule. Rule number 16. Keep them on their toes. All right, we talked a lot about contractors and relationship capital, and like you don't want to do 3 bids, you don't want to do contracts and all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to be soft, guys. You want to keep them on their toes. And so there are some times when, I hope none of the guys are watching this, but I think they kind of know anyway. I basically would straight up tell them. But sometimes I will just flat out deny a bid. No rebidding, no questions, just, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. Price is too high, or whatever. Something I don't like about it, I'm not going to accept it. Generally, it is the price is too high, actually, because, guys, we also have a property management company. And like this is like breeding grounds for people starting to expand their prices, because it's like there's so many properties to manage. There's 1,500 properties out there. And like I can't look into every single little bid. And so then you just notice over time that those bids start going up, and like HVAC units that used to be able to be maintained are all of a sudden needing replacements. All right, so you got to keep people on their toes. So going back, there's always like 2 edges of the sword here, 2 sides of the coin here. And there's the one side that is like, don't get 3 bids. Don't be wasting these people's time. Relationship capital, baby. And then there's other times where it's like, but don't go too far. Sometimes get 3 bids so these guys know that they have competition. Got to keep them on their toes. Got to keep the hunters hunting. And that's the beauty, by the way, with subcontracting as opposed to having an internal crew. They have to hunt what they eat. They have to go work for what they eat. Whereas when you have a crew, sometimes, like, well, I just went to the gas station to get a Gatorade and catch some AC. Like, I didn't think I had to clock out for that. Number 17. 7 iPhotos equals 1 countertop. All right, so I was talking to a guy that is new in the game here, and he was talking about how, well, I asked this guy to send me some photos of, the work that he was doing so I can make some decisions. And like, I can't get him to do it. I keep asking him and asking him and asking him. I'm like, dude, just send me the picture. I just want the pictures. And I'm like, well, maybe for you think like the whole iPhoto thing is awesome because you grew up like using the phones and like that's your game, like you're a tech savvy guy. But for like some of these guys, they use like a notepad like this. It's like this thing that they used to do where they'd write things down with a pencil. And so anyway, figuring out how to send this stuff, and like, what I found out the other day is like, some people don't even do unlimited plans on their phone. They have like data that they have to preserve, which this isn't like a conversation about spending money. The point is, some people just don't give a crap about that kind of thing. And so to try to manage them to give a crap about those things takes all kinds of relationship capital. You might think it's simple, but to them it's not. You see, there's a theme here that you should always be looking at it through their perspective and really respecting that. Like, don't say something like, well, gosh, it's so easy to use iPhoto. I'm going to make this guy do that. I mean, it's just too easy. Like, he really needs to learn. We're in 2025. This guy needs to learn how to use the iPhone. No, man, that's not your job. The amount of bandwidth it takes to send those 7 iPhotos for certain people is like, you could have gotten a free countertop for that. Like, because that's what it feels like to them. That 7 iPhotos, like, what is this guy trying to make me his secretary? I'm not going to do 7 iPhotos. That's so much work. That's so crazy. I'd rather just do a countertop. That's easy for me. But once again, go back to the rules. Don't try to get free work from people, you cheapos. But you get the point. A lot of bandwidth, a lot of relationship capital. Also, there's more here. That like text message is a universal app. You have systems like you're paying for some sort of awesome software and you want them to send their bids in a certain way. I mean, you're lucky if they're using email, man. Like, get a text message from them. You send them the scope and say, hey, could you give me a price based on this scope of work? You know, that is making them not an administrator. Don't try to make them use your super cool custom made app. That's stupid, man. That's for you. If you want that, you hire a secretary and you take whatever they give you in whatever form they can give it to you in, and then you put it in your cool, fancy system. Which, by the way, I love systems and I love software, but I'm just making a point here. I've also done this many times. I thought that I was going to get every contractor on Slack and using Monday.com and Airtable, a database. It's like, dude, it's just a relational database. It's no problem. You just got to press a couple buttons and like everything, it's going to be awesome. You'll love it. All right, rule number 18, show, don't tell. All right, this goes into the be the bank kind of thing, but I think this is really an important concept because I think a lot of you guys maybe don't have a bunch of projects going on, and that's not really what you need. Like one project at a time is plenty, like really focus on it. Okay, but when I was growing up in the business, what I wanted to do, which I think is very important, is that you let contractors know that they have runway, that there is safety with you, that you have more jobs coming up, basically. All right. You want to give them confidence in you, both so they can invest with you, their time and energy and skills, and also just so they have confidence that you actually know what the heck you're doing. So when I first started and I didn't even have a project that was live, I was like trying to get the first contractors on the first project that I was doing. I would go to other job sites in town. Like I knew that there was a project going on down the street and I would just like have them meet me there to stand on the street and like talk through the scope. Like, hey, just meet me over at 123 Main Street and we'll talk over that scope, or I'll give you a check or whatever, whatever it was that I had to meet them for. But I'd have them, it would look like, I was on this job site. And so it looks like a lot of things are going on. Now, that's kind of wild. You probably don't need to go that far. But the point here is that you need to give them confidence that you know what the heck you're doing and that you're not going to be a one and doneer, that there is going to be more. But another side of the coin here is you don't want to say, hey man, I'm going to do 10 projects this year. I'm going to be the biggest investor in town, because they have certainly heard that story. That's telling. You got to show. Okay. Now, better yet is if you actually do have other stuff going on, you can easily show them that you are in fact a legitimate player of the game. Okay. That's the 18 rules. There is a 19th rule that rules them all. This covers everything, every time, everywhere. And that is, had to clean this up. So the rule is don't be scared or don't be fragile. Listen, things are tough. You're going to have tough conversations. You're going to deal with tough things on a regular basis. Like it is going to be mentally challenging, emotionally challenging at times. You might feel like all is lost and you just got to step up and be a big boy or a big girl, and you're going to get through it. And every time that you have one of these failures, which you ultimately will, every time you have one of these tough conversations or tough situations that you have to deal with, you get a little bit better. You get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And it's almost like the people that you see that have success, it looks from the outside like, well, they just like blew up overnight. Well, guys, it was a long night for all of them. They went through very challenging things. You cannot be fragile. You have to be persistent. And that's all you need. You need persistence and you need guts. You need the guts to take some steps. So, guys, I hope you keep watching my videos here because we talk a lot about these things, other tactics, other frameworks that you can actually use, that you can actually put to work in the field to start building wealth. Because it's not going to just come, guys. You got to take the steps. So I hope to see you in the next video. Check it out right here. Thanks for hanging out.